Before we can put you on the path to writing 4,000 words per hour or more, we've got to figure out your starting point. That's where you're at the moment. So we want to know your current hourly words rate. Even if you've been a writer professionally or personally for a long time, you may not know your actual production per hour. Have you ever heard of the concept of the Pareto principle? This means that work expands so as to fill the time to completion. So if you have 4 hours to work on that all-important college paper, it somehow ends up taking you exactly 4 hours. But it's not really the truth that it took you 4 hours to do it, right? You were working towards a deadline. So all too often, our view about how many words we can produce in an hour is totally skewed for a couple of reasons. First of all is this Pareto principle, because we're so used to just filling up the time that we have available to do something. This is especially true for those procrastinators out there who wait until the last minute to start, but somehow always manage to get it done, even if it's at the last minute. The other reason it's hard to tell what your current hourly words rate is because we have all kinds of distractions and interruptions pulling our focus away. So it might have taken us an hour to write a 1-page blog, but it really would have only taken us 45 minutes or even 30 minutes if we'd been completely focused and hadn't had that coworker interrupting us or email notifications on our phone cutting into the focus that we had on that particular project. So let's start out by figuring out your current hourly words rate. What I want you to do is disconnect from the internet when you carry out this exercise. So finish this lecture first, and then when it's time for you to complete this exercise, disconnect from the internet. Turn your phones upside down so you can't see them, turn the sound off, or put them in another room. That's even better if you can completely distract yourself from all of the possible interruptions. You want to close your email browser, Facebook, and anything else that gives you notifications that something new has arrived. As a society, we've often gotten addicted to receiving these notifications and get excited to see what the new information that's landed in our inbox or on our Facebook timeline is. But if you want to be a really focused writer and someone who writes a tremendous amount of words per hour, we need to cut those distractions out. I'll be covering in more detail exactly how to do that later on in the course. But for now, we need to know your starting point. What you're going to do after you've disconnected from the internet is to time yourself for 10 minutes with a free writing topic or something you know a lot about. I don't encourage you to write something that's extremely complicated or difficult because that would require research. Research is actually a very different process from writing, and that's something you're going to learn in the course, how to divide those up and batch your tasks. So I want you to write about something you know a lot about. It can be about your pet, your relationship with your best friend, a hobby you love doing, whatever it is. And you're going to time yourself for 10 minutes and see exactly how many words you can produce. Remember, no distractions, because those distractions will really skew the results that you get. And don't have any attachment to the outcome of this particular exercise. It's no point of shame or anything like that you want to improve. And there's no wrong answer. If you only write 100 words during that 10 minutes because you spent a lot of time thinking about it, that's okay. The goal here is simply to get that baseline. Now, you did the 10-minute exercise. We're going to multiply that by 6, right? Because there are 6 10-minute periods within a given hour. This is our baseline where we're going to begin for how many words you currently write per hour. Now, of course, there will be some adjustments based on writing about topics you're familiar with versus those that you aren't, but this is our critical starting point. This is how much you can typically do during an uninterrupted 10-minute period. Now, it's also important to keep in the back of your mind that to stay focused for a full 60 minutes writing would be hard. So you might have had a really powerful 10-minute period, but might not be able to sustain that over 50 or 60 minutes. Sometimes you can get more done by having a really focused 30-minute writing period as opposed to 60 minutes where you're getting distracted during that whole time. That concept doesn't really apply or matter at this point in time because we're just trying to make sure that you're getting these writing sprints and really focused writing time with a decent expectation of what that translates to at an hourly rate. So it does not necessarily mean that every hour you're going to hit 3,000 or 5,000 words, but it's that part-time equivalent or that block equivalent during these 10, 15, you can do 20, you can even do 2 30-minute shifts as well. This gives you a lot of insight into where you're at right now. Of course, I just mentioned that it's not perfect because there's going to be fluctuations based on whether or not you could really remain focused and writing at that level for a full 60 minutes. But we're looking for insight here. We're looking for a good number to begin with. So now that you know that number, write that down and store that in your notes for the course, because we're going to work to improve that as you go.